Thank you, Jill. Good afternoon, all. Thank you, CIPHER, for organizing this event. It's always great to be in person after a sizable hiatus. So great to see all these faces. Uh, I should thank Brady because what I'm going to talk about actually feeds quite nicely to what Brady talked about. So it's actually a pretty good segue to. Okay, so today I'm going to present a case study essentially on mode transition from an RDD based data collection to a multi-mode setup for a very large New Jersey statewide survey. So by way of background, so this is the New Jersey Drug and Alcohol Survey. The study is conducted since 1993. The study is funded by the New Jersey Department of Health and Human Services. It's one of the largest state level surveys on substance use and alcohol in the nation. One of the goals of the study is to derive county level estimates for each of the 21 counties in New Jersey. Therefore, the sample size needs to be fairly large. Uh, all of the previous rounds were conducted via RDD, random digit dial. Okay, so what triggered the mode transition? Study challenges. Surprise, for RDD, the phone rates were declining, the cost of data collection going up, response rates declining, and RDD landline frame is progressively becoming less representative. It's less diverse, it's older, higher educated. Most importantly, county-specific targeting was becoming a big challenge for the RDD phone because people moving counties, and we were having difficulty achieving county level targets. And as you see in the last bullet, the sample size, when we started off, and I've supported majority of the waves in the prior rounds of data collection, so I can tell you, we were past 21,000 surveys at one point. We went down to 18,900 surveys in the prior rounds, which gave us about 900 completes per county. In the latest round, the sample size had to be declined to 7,450. Which essentially gave us 350 surveys per county, not enough for reliable county level estimates, as we can all imagine. So that triggered, the discussion on, well, let's transition to a multi-mode design. So this is where we were. On the RDD column, it was telephone mode, dual frame RDD, target population, New Jersey residents age 18 or older. We completed a sample size of 7,145. We fielded the study over a three-year period. The median survey length was 19 minutes. All cell respondents received $5 in incentives. When we transitioned to mixed mode ABS, we used a mail push to web methodology using inbound telephone staffed by live interviewers. So when they called in, a live interviewer picked up the phone and completed the survey. We had targeted outbound telephone, and I'll talk a little bit about how we targeted specific subgroups of interest for the outbound telephone. Address-based sampling frame, target population, New Jersey adults 18 or older. This is hot off the press because we are still in the process of data collection. So the data I'm going to report today is based on give or take half of the data collection, which is 11,751 surveys and counting. We estimate the data collection to end with about 22,000 surveys. The data collection will be conducted from October 22 through June 23. Median length 17 minutes for web, for phone 27 minutes. We provided a $1.25 pre-incentive, and all respondents that completed the survey received a $15 post incentive. So that was the broad design. So we were hoping to solve the three major problems that we had with RDD, with the multi-mode design. The first is geographic precision. With the mode transition, we were able to target smaller geographic areas without relying on responder report. Because we are drawing sample from addresses. We exactly know where the address is. So we didn't really need to ask the respondent other than confirming the address where they live in. Once they confirmed, we knew exactly where they live. So the second was the target population of interest. We were hoping to target hard to reach population, your Hispanics, African Americans, Asian, responsive Asian origin. And we leveraged the auxiliary data and census block group level data to target higher concentration African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians. And then, of course, the response rate. Response rates were terrible. They were declining on the telephone, and we were hoping to improve on the response rates. And mailing letters to legitimize the survey with a cash incentive offer, providing links, providing FAQs, all of that helped the response rates. And allowing mixed modes, particularly live inbound calls and targeted outbound calls, help the sample representation. And we'll see that in some of the slides that I'll share with you. So the sample design was an address-based frame. As I said, we had a 4-strata design for each of the county. We divided high concentration Hispanic areas, high concentration African American areas, high concentration Asian areas as separate buckets, and the remainder went into the last residual buckets. We customized sampling rates at the county level to make sure that each sample release at the county level was reflective of the demographics of that county. New Jersey is pretty diverse, as you may know. Some of the counties are very diverse, some of the counties are not. So we could not just implement one catch-all stratification scheme. So we customized that at the county level. The goal was to achieve about equal sample sizes at the county level. So we released equal initial samples from each of the counties, and then we adjusted that, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. And we controlled the design, in fact, to about 1.15. So we didn't go too aggressive with the stratification. So we kept it at a relatively modest level, just to control the design by 1.15 before post-stratification weighting. So this is the contact protocol. So started off with a sample of addresses. Everybody got a study invitation letter with $1.25. People got reminder letter, and they had the ability to complete the survey via web or calling in a toll-free number. All the non-responders after that, not all, so take it back, targeted non-responders after that received an outbound call by our telephone interviewers. And those targeted responders were, non-responders were Hispanics, African Americans, people of Asian origin. They received a phone call, and they completed telephone surveys. We deployed a responsive design for this study. So everyone got, so the mailing was essentially conducted in 2 batches. Batch 1 was equal sample from each county. At the end of that, we assessed non-response by county and by demographic groups within each county. We recalibrated the batch release sample to be reflective of our needs in each of those counties, and batch 2 sample was released, adjusted the sampling rates for the batch 2, and then it was released. Okay. So the first finding was significant improvements in response rate post-mode transition. So as we noticed, in 2018, the response rates were lower. 2019, they were even lower. 2020, we experienced a COVID bump. So, we had a slight uptick in the telephone response rates. The response rates for telephone surveys are back to pre-COVID levels at this point, as people are back to work and, generally, back to behaving the same way they did pre-COVID. In 2022, that's when we transitioned to the ABS methodology, and we were able to improve on the response rate to 15.3% A4 RR3 calculation. As a result of the high response rate, we were able to achieve a significant reduction in CPI. So we achieved a 40% reduction in CPI because our yield was so much better. In looking at the demographics, so the first column is the benchmark for the state of New Jersey. The second column is the RDD survey from the prior waves. The third column is the ABS study. So on gender, we were over on, these are all unweighted numbers. We are higher on the female because, we do not have the ability to screen by gender, unlike telephone mode where, you have some ability to adjust as for male or female with a last birthday and so on and so forth. With an ABS setup, you are kind of limited. So we are a little bit over on the female. We did very well on the age, which was very important for this study in particular, because the drug and alcohol use is strongly correlated with younger age groups. So that was a pain area for the RDD version of things, and we were able to achieve a significant improvement amongst all of those age groups. We took a hit on the lower educated group, which is generally the case for all address-based sample, just by the very nature. The less than high school, you will find, taking the online survey at a much lower rate. So we did take a hit. On the race ethnicity, African Americans, we were flat, although on many of the other more conversion studies, we've actually gained on African American share with telephone follow-ups. But in this particular study, it was flat. Hispanics, we did really well with the mode transition. And particularly Asian and other non-Hispanic group, we were able to achieve a significant improvement compared to the benchmark from 5.9% to 11%. If we take a look at the modes within the address-based sample, so the first column is your web completes, the second column is a inbound phone, the third column is your outbound phone. So web obviously is significantly better at collecting data from the younger age groups. So, we did well across the board in age with the web mode. Web also overrepresents college graduates and Hispanics. It does not overrepresent, but we did well on Hispanics. The phone mode is predominantly older age groups. And that's consistent for both inbound and outbound. So majority of the respondents on the inbound side, about 61% were age 65 and older. And for the outbound, we were up to 80%. The phone mode did help with high school grad and younger group. So, about 36% of the phone completions from both inbound and outbound were from the high school grad or less group. We did well on the African Americans on the phone follow-up. So when we did the phone follow-up, 17% were completed, with African Americans. So key takeaways with the mode transition. So we were able to reduce the CPI by 40%. We improved the study response rate by a factor of 3x. We did take a hit on the lower educated group of high school grad or less. We improved representation of younger age groups, 25 to 44, Hispanics and other non-Hispanic racial groups with the phone transition. ABS phone mode helped improve lower educated and education and African American representation. We should expect, however, the phone respondents to be older. And most importantly, for this study, we estimate the sample size to increase from an RDD average of 330 to well over 1,000. Okay, so something similar to what Brady did. So we tried to do something, interesting for this study. We are contacting tens of thousands of households in this study. So we said, what if we impanel this study? What would that do for future rounds of this study? So at the end of the study, we presented respondents for future contacts. Now, we don't really have an offer for a panel at this point. So we weren't able to, unlike what Brady said, we weren't able to tell them you'll receive $75 or $15 or $20 if you participated in the panel. We just said, would you be willing to receive future surveys from us? And we found that, almost 8 out of 10 respondents that completed the survey actually took that offer. And based on that yield, we anticipate the study sample to yield a panel of approximately 15,500 respondents, which would be the largest state level panel in the nation if the state decides to actually pursue that to the next level. In the next few slides, I'm going to compare some stats on who agreed to join the panel and who refused to join the panel. And what does that mean for the panel representation? So if you look at the age, pretty much the blue bar are the people who agreed to join the panel. The black bars are people who refused to join the panel. and the green bars are overall, all unweighted sample sizes. And as you notice, both the distributions are very, very close, except 25 to 34, where, you have a higher proportion of that group joining the panel, which is, what's that? Oh, okay, sorry. So not, again, across the board, really not much going on there, except for the older respondents who are more prone to refuse to join the panel. Again, nothing much going on by race. We do find that Hispanics, join the panel at a higher rate than refusing the panel, which is, again, not a bad thing. Asians do refuse to join the panel at a higher rate compared to, the rest of the group. And by education, again, nothing much going on. Some college respondents join the panel at a higher rate, but, I don't think there's anything systematic about that. By drug prevalence rate, we did find that people who used alcohol 2 to 4 times per month in the past 12 months, refused to join the panel at a higher rate. People who only used drugs in the past 12 months joined the panel at a higher rate, and combining the two, we had higher proportion of people joining the panel. So takeaways, some demographic differences between panel joiners and non-joiners do exist. Panel joiners are largely similar to overall unweighted sample, joiners plus non-joiners. And propensity adjustment of panel joiners and non-joiners plus post-stratification weighting is expected to correct the bias of non-joiners. Again, we are in the middle of the data collection. We will be going through a full calibration exercise at the end of the data collection, and we'll be sharing the results in future papers. So recruiting the respondents to a panel and conducting panel-based surveys does present us with an attractive, cost-efficient opportunity for conducting future rounds of research for this study. In sum, again, I've spoken about it, the mode transition from RDD to mixed mode can result in cost efficiencies and high response rate. It improves our ability to achieve a larger sample size for subgroup comparison. Supplemental phone mode, inbound and outbound to online mode can improve demographic representation, and recruiting respondents to panel presents an opportunity to conduct future rounds of the study in a highly efficient fashion. APOR Task Force reports for your reference. It's a great read. The Journal of Statistics piece is a summary version of the 180-page APOR Task Force report. So if you would like to see that, and I'm happy to share that offline with you. Thank you.